Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to your favorite news destination. You're watching In Your Interest with me, Kabir Naqvi. And on the first segment tonight, we're going to have a discourse, a debate that's not about choosing sides. It's about getting the balance right. Tonight, we discuss a debate that has moved from college campuses to the streets, from university halls to the highest court in the land. The University Grants Commission's new equity regulations, UGC's new equity regulations, have set off a firestorm across the country. From Delhi to Lucknow, from Bareilly to campuses in Rajasthan and Bihar, students are protesting. Nearly 20 petitions have been filed in the Supreme Court. Bureaucrats have resigned. Political leaders have stepped down. Student groups have taken to the streets demanding a rollback of these regulations. Some have called the rules biased or one-sided. Now here's the timeline. On the 13th of January, the UGC notified the Promotion of Equity in Higher Education Institutions Regulation 2026. These rules are meant to eradicate discrimination in colleges and universities across the country. Discrimination based on caste, based on religion, gender, disability, place of birth or race. And the regulations specifically focus on protecting members of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, other backward classes, economically weaker sections, the EWS, and persons with disabilities and women. Now, this is not the first time the University Grants Commission has issued such guidelines. Remember, back in 2012, there was an advisory framework, but here's the crucial difference between the two. The 2012 rules were just that, advisory. The new 2026 regulations are legally binding. Universities that do not comply can and may face grant cuts. They can be debarred. The UGC will actively monitor compliance, is what the regulations say. And there are clear timelines. There are defined accountability structures. What also has added fuel to the fire was that the draft clause which penalized false complaints was dropped. These regulations did not emerge in a vacuum as well. They came after a directive from the Supreme Court based on petitions filed by the mothers of two young people who lost their lives. You know these names. Rohith, Vemula, a Dalit PhD scholar at the University of Hyderabad who died by suicide in 2016 after alleged discrimination and harassment. Payal, Tadvi, a young Muslim doctor in Mumbai who also took the extreme step in 2019 after facing what her family called casteist abuse from her senior colleagues. And this is where the controversy begins. Critics argue the regulations are exclusionary by design. Caste discrimination is defined only for SC, ST and OBC communities, leaving the general category students and faculty outside the protective framework. They warn this creates a preset idea of victim and perpetrator, reinforcing stereotypes on these campuses. And the second concern is misuse without deterrence. A clause penalizing false or malicious complaints was dropped from the final rules. Critics fear this opens the door to abuse like settling scores, personal ones, targeting rivals, or derailing academic careers without consequences. Then there are also serious worries about due process being followed or not. Once a complaint is filed, critics say the burden effectively shifts to the accused, weakening the presumption of innocence and creating a climate of fear. And finally, the critics of these regulations warn of social and academic fallout. Supporters of the new regulations argue the data is unmistakable. Complaints of caste-based discrimination in higher educations have more than doubled since 2019, not because discrimination is new, but because victims are finally speaking up. And for every high-profile case, they say many more went unheard. They stress the rules are not about targeting general category students, but about addressing structural inequality. On fears of false complaints, supporters say misuse exists in all grievance systems and should be handled through investigation and appeals, not by deterring genuine victims. And most importantly, they say these rules stem from Supreme Court intervention and the voices of families who have lost their children.
किसी को उत्पीड़न होने नहीं दिया जाए, कोई भेदभाव नहीं होगा, कोई डिस्क्रिमिनेशन के नाम पे किसी को भी मिसयूज करने का अधिकार नहीं रहेगा। इसमें यूजीसी हो, भारत सरकार हो या राज्य सरकार हो, इसकी दायित्व रहेगी। मैं आश्वस्त करता हूँ, उसको जो व्यवस्था हुई है, भारत की कुछ भी व्यवस्था हो, संविधान की परिधि के अंदर होगा। और ये जो विषय आई है, ये तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट की निगरानी में व्यवस्था है। इसमें आश्वस्त मैं फील करना चाहता हूँ, कोई भी किसी के ऊपर भी अत्याचार या किसी को भी भेदभाव नहीं किया जाएगा।
गाइडलाइन SC/ST OBC के लोगों ने नहीं बनाई, समिति ने बनाई है। समिति ने किस आधार पर बनाई? जिस तरह से लगातार हायर एजुकेशन सेंटरों में इस तरह के अपराधों की संख्या बढ़ रही है, 118% की वृद्धि हो गई, इसके आधार पर रिपोर्ट बनी है। पहली बात यह है, जो लोग विरोध कर रहे हैं 90% लोगों ने शायद पढ़ा नहीं है, क्योंकि उन्होंने उसमें आर्थिक रूप से कमजोर वर्गों के बच्चों को भी जोड़ा है, दिव्यांगजनों को भी जोड़ा है। तो सिर्फ SC/ST के लिए नहीं, OBC को भी जोड़ा है। तो मेरी समझ में ये नहीं आ रहा है कि जब उसमें EWS यानी कि आर्थिक रूप से कमजोर वर्गों को जोड़ दिया गया है, जिसमें सारे ही सामान्य जाति के बच्चे हैं, ये अलग जो है आर्थिक रूप से कमजोर वर्ग है जिसमें SC/ST OBC नहीं है, सिर्फ सामान्य जाति के बच्चों को 10% आरक्षण दे दिया गया है।
Social activists and educationists with me on the broadcast tonight, and the big questions that we are going to try and decode. Can true equity exist in a system that does not recognize that a student from a general category can also be a victim of bias? If caste-based discrimination is real and it is pervasive, then what mechanisms do we need to fight it? And can those mechanisms be truly effective if they do not have enforceable penalties? To discuss all of this, with me on the broadcast, Professor C.B. Sharma, educationist, Shailin Maria Lawrence, author and social activist, Professor J.S. Rajput, an educationist with us on the broadcast, John Dayal, writer and social activist. A very warm welcome to you, lady and gentlemen. Let's get the snowball rolling here. Let's set the template of this discourse, this discussion. I've said it right in the beginning. It's not about choosing sides, but asking if we can strike a balance over here. Professor Sharma, let me get the ball rolling with you. Intent versus architecture. On the 16th of this month, we had this conversation as well. We were talking about the same regulations, and you had said on paper, it sounds like a welcome note, but do we really need this? Now, again, on paper, the intent of the Grants Commission's equity regulations, they align with the constitutional values. Is there denying that? You can throw some light on that. But from an academic governance perspective, does the enforcement structure and architecture risk doing more harm than good? Right from Bareilly to Rajasthan, Bihar, Lucknow, all those places, we saw massive protests today.
I think this new regulation is uncalled for. We already had in place the 2012 guidelines, and which was working fine. We had no problems on the campus.
But aren't those advisories? The stark difference between 2012 and 2026 is that now there is punitive action, there is structured timeline in which grievances have to be addressed.
But I think the data that is being given by various experts on various platforms is contradictory. Some say it is 118% increase. Some say there are just 372 complaints in 1 year, and we have 4 crore 20 lakh students. So this is not that important. The fact remains that the University Grants Commission has come up with these regulations on the direction of the Supreme Court in the cases that were filed by mothers of 2 students who had committed suicide. Now, that suicide has not been confirmed. It's said that the boy was drugged and some people hanged him, and that is so. The judgment is not clear. The Supreme Court gave direction to the University Grants Commission that you look into it again, and the committee formed the University Grants Commission formed a committee which gave a report to the University Grants Commission. There were 17 members, and all 17 are psychiatrists. There is not a single academic on that body. These are psychiatrists. They are so prone to looking at institutions that are delinquent, which need mental health. Universities are not so bad. And I will only put a few arguments towards it, that it's being made a political issue. I believe the University Grants Commission is at fault. It has come up with such regulation without having the political backing of it, and the party in government has to defend it now because University Grants Commission has done the gadget notification.
Well, the Education Minister, Professor Sharma, has come out and said that there is going to be no untoward incident. Have faith in what the UGC is doing.
No, University Commission has done it in a hush-hush manner without being able to convince the Supreme Court that this is we already have mechanism. You have the 2012 guidelines, which is working fine. You have the position of an ombudsman.
We don't have credible data, Professor, whether those 2012 guidelines, advisory roles, are they working fine? I mean, can you state some examples? Can you state some data that tells us that it is working up? People are saying it is more than doubled. These discrimination cases have more than doubled since 2019, and that's not because it has gone up. It's just the fact that people have now mustered up the courage to raise their voice. Let's bring in other voices also on that front. I'm going to come back to you. Shalin Maria Lawrence, author and social activist, also with us on the broadcast. Why, Shalin, why do you think existing laws weren't enough? The advisory that Professor Sharma is talking about here. Critics say India already has constitutional protections. We've got laws like the SC/ST Act. But, from live campus experiences, why were these advisories, these regulations that were already in place, not sufficient to prevent discrimination?
Because education does not make someone, forward thinking, because most of the educated people are very backward, they're very casteist. I've seen professors who've been very casteist, heads of institutions being very casteist. That's the reason these places of education need a specific legislation or a law that protects the people who die. See, one end of the day, Mr. Sharma, I'm asking him, why do people, scare or fear the word equality? Now, equality is theory. Equity is equality in action, right? It is for reparations, for historical oppressions which has been happened. Reservation is for that. Like that, the following committee, the Equal Center, Equal Opportunity Center, or whatever is being set up by UGC, it is being set up because the Supreme Court, not just the mother of Rohith Vemula, or not just the mother of, Solanki, they didn't feel, Payal Tadvi feel, oh, my son has been, killed, or he's been killed because of the bias. Let me go ahead to the court. Let me avenge. No, it is the whole community which has been constantly ridiculed, mocked. I'm telling you, the whole of India has a reservation. OBCs, SC/ST, EWS, even Brahmins have reservation right now. But quota wala kaun hote hain? Quota wala hote hain SC/ST. Every time I go anywhere, people call me rice bag. People call me quota wali. No, quota goes for everybody. Disabled quota is there. Army quota is there. So many reservation is there. But end of the day, people take caste. They use casteism in such scenarios, especially in this place. I come from Madras, right? And IIT Madras has the highest number of suicides, student suicides in the history of IITs in India. And that is fact, that is data. Why? Because, there's a Vipin, Professor Vipin also resigned from IIT, stating that he could not teach because there was so much of casteism among the professors themselves.
Shalin, let me ask you this. We're showcasing all of those visuals. No, you're making a pertinent point here, citing some of that data, which is credible. We all know about it. When we talk about those that are opposing this entire regulation, we've seen some of those protest visuals on our screens as well. Those opposing, they argue that rules will create fear on campuses. There is that slight room where things can go wrong. How do you respond to that? Because is that fear about misuse? Is it about long-standing power structures that are finally going to be questioned? Why will somebody who should not be penalized will finally come into the ambit of these regulations? There is fear on that front as well, that it will create fear on campuses. And should campuses be fearful? How do you respond to that?
No, this is coming under the constitution because the campuses are not equal. The campuses have been very casteist offensive. Let me tell you something. An Indian goes to a foreign country, University of Colorado, this PhD student heated, he was heating palak, paneer in the Colorado institution. And then this person came and the white person came and said, you cannot do this. We don't like this food. It is smelling. And he had to drop his PhD. And then what happened was he pursued a legal case and he was paid $200,000 as penalty from the university this year. And when students from here, the upper caste, they go to, foreign countries, they look out for affirmative actions which pertains to racism.
All right.
But when it comes to casteism, they literally don't want to touch, they say, oh no, I am really good. Are you really good? Because there are, the I'm telling you something. I've seen posters on universities where it says SC, SE, kutta, yahan pe mat aa jana. Don't come. The hostels have segregation. The hostels, and they call by, they know the caste of the people, and they actually earmark
Okay,
them by
okay.
caste, and the students are
All
called
right.
by caste names. And that's the reason the deaths are more. And finally, as Chandrasekhar said in the beginning of this, debate, he said people should have read the document properly. It also includes gender, right? So gender means even if our upper caste woman who's going to get affected by somebody based on gender, end of this, she will also be using it, right? It's not just for SC/ST. Now, why people are jumping, seeing the name SC/ST when gender is included, when race is included, place of birth and disability is included. So, a lot of people are going to be there. All they're asking, all UGC is asking
let's
is,
ask
sir,
that question
please
to
don't
Professor
discriminate.
Rajput. Let's ask that question to Professor Rajput. Professor Rajput, education, is also with us on the broadcast. This entire argument about the false case, I've been listening to that a lot on social media, Professor Rajput. What is the primary concern here? What's your purview on this? Every equity law faces the charge of potential misuse. We've seen it. But do you believe the fear of false cases is being exaggerated to dilute protections? I mean, we're talking about historically marginalized communities on campuses where actually debate and thought should be encouraged. But on the other side, we see expanded and extended discrimination.
I think there are only 2 points because of which all this row has started. Number one, there would be no action for making a false complaint. As the head of a regional institute for 11 years, where we had students from at least 10 to 8 states of the country, I have seen diversities, I have seen distinctions, and I have also seen discrimination. I have also seen how to solve those discriminations. Campuses are not such bad places. Some people who have political intentions may think it otherwise, number one. So the first thing is, it was unnecessary to say that false complaints will not be put to any scrutiny. This is not correct, and this will never be accepted. Legally also, and even otherwise, aesthetically also, this is not permissible and should go, and it has caused a lot of problems. Number one, two.
Okay.
Why wait for a minute.
Yeah.
In 1971, there was a Criminal Trials Act. Certain communities were said they are criminals and they have to follow certain restrictions. Now the Savarn communities feel that way. It is not only that discrimination has been done against scheduled caste, scheduled tribes here, everybody accepts. Everybody accepts. There is no one who questions this. But there have been situations like Tilak, Taraju and Talwar, आपको भी याद होगा, और एक था ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, बनिया, एक्सेट्रा. वो सब भी हो चुका है इस देश में. उसको भूलिए मत. इसलिए don't put a certain category as a permanent criminal.
So, Professor Rajput, wait, let me summarize this for the viewers that are watching this. If the UGC were to add these safeguards that you're talking about, safeguards against malicious complaints, confidentiality for the respondents, would that address these concerns better?
I think, as Professor Sharma has said, let some academics, those who have run institutions, those who have the experience, and who are still in institutions. This is not 1947. A lot of changes have happened in those 8 decades. Why don't we recognize the positivity of the situation which has come because of the Constitution, because of Dr. Ambedkar and people like him? You cannot always go on and start shouting here and there, yes. But remember, this nation must accept that have been positive changes. And positive changes.
I agree with you, Professor Rajput. I think the most positive change is the fact that on national television we can talk about this.
Media and politicians should keep away. Things will improve and we can settle it all right.
Okay, I personally feel that the biggest takeaway in the last 8 decades is the fact that we can openly discuss and argue about these things, especially on national television. That's the biggest positive takeaway. Why look at that only in the negative sense. I think a lot of negative light on the media, man, but let's not go there. It's going to be a little biased.
Media
I'm
is
a
very
journalist
positive
myself.
when politicians are not present. You are always positive when politicians are not there. They are not talking of elections.
Okay, all right.
I think
Let's
it is positive.
John Dayal, writer
Maintain
and
this
social
positive.
activist, also with us. Mr. Dayal, let me come to you. You know, look at what Professor Sharma, look at what Professor Rajput have said. They've asked the question about protection for the accused. The rules are detailed on complainant protection, but largely silent. And they do have a point over here on safeguards for the accused. And, you know, many people out there putting out, you know, their comments on social media with the posts on those protests that many fear reputational and psychological damage even before any kind of guilt is established. So is that a pertinent point here? Is that enough for them to take to the streets? How are you looking at these developments today?
Thank you for having me. It would seem that you and I are the only two neutrals in this debate here. Both the professors...
I'm bound by my job, Mr. Dayal. If you were to phone call me, maybe I'd have a stand as well. But I'm bound by my job at the moment.
We know each other, sir. What I was trying to say was, caste is in the soil of this land. And that is a reality. If you were to go by the words that are being used here, the fact that false charges must be prosecuted, you don't do it in UAPA. People have been in jail for 17 years, and neither the government nor the original complainants have ever even said sorry. This is the nature of the law in India. And one of the crises here is that there is no fear of the rule of law. What are these boys and men protesting? Are they protesting that crime should be allowed? That they have the right to persecute, not prosecute, persecute the Dalit that they want to, the OBC that they want to, the woman that they want to? Is that the point they're making? No, sir. The point they're making is an assertion of their right to continue to do what they're doing. And that has been made illegal by the laws of the land. And this notification makes it even more cognizable. It brings in the light of the sun on this thing, which is as part of ragging, as part of hostels, as part of things. I also went to school and college. I'm not a Dalit, I'm a Christian. But even as a Christian, I faced abuse of the worst kind. And can't teachers be abusive? Teachers kill. Teachers beat their wives. Teachers can do as much crime as journalists can do, as anybody else can do. So here, please let us separate. People must work together to ensure that casteism,
Mr. Dayal,
Islamophobia,
let me ask you this.
Let me ask you this. It's not there in the campus.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Dayal. If these regulations are rolled back, in the face of these protests, if these regulations are rolled back or they somehow become diluted under political pressure for whatever reason, what message do you think is it going to send to the communities at large, to the Dalit community, to the Adivasi community, to the backward caste students entering higher education today, and even to the general category? What kind of message is going to go out if these were to be taken back, rolled back, or diluted?
Two messages will clearly go. That if you want your voice to be heard, you have to be as aggressive as this crowd seems to be. But the bigger message is, don't they have the right to be safe in the campuses of India? Campus is holy. I also was, like the professors, I spent a lot of time in campuses. Campuses are holy.
Yep.
Hospitals are holy. And caste is practiced even in hospitals. I think such committees must, by law, be constituted in every public sphere.
Okay. Professor Rajput, I saw you raising your finger. How about you come in on this? And, I'm trying to understand the middle path here as well. I said it right in the beginning. I stick by it. This is in your interest. This is not some shoshabazi debate show. We're talking about not choosing a side, but actually having a discourse about it. If you were advising the UGC today, Professor Rajput, would you recommend withdrawal? Would you recommend amendment? Would you recommend supplementary safeguards? And what, according to you, is going to be the message at large if these were to be rolled back or diluted?
I very much advise UGC, if I am consulted and asked, that please don't hesitate to listen to people, number one. Number two, don't hesitate to make revisions if they are considered necessary. And let the campuses be autonomous. They can find solutions themselves Don't be too much centralized in writing everything. This should be done, this should not be done. Let some innovations be conducted by the academics.
Okay.
And that is one thing that can help. There is always a possibility of finding a solution. But the problem is, my friend John Dayal, I can always predict what he is going to say, what are his views. They are permanently
we know
known.
each other very well.
These are going to create problems. These will create a lot of problems. So solutions are possible. We are capable of finding solutions. In our constitution, our constitution makers did find a solution. They found a lasting solution. The problems arose when politicians, short-sighted politicians, brought changes in those regulations. That is the basic thing which should be discussed and talked about. And,
Time
it all-
and change, two inevitable things,
one
Professor
thing,
Rajput.
one thing you are missing, one thing which all of us are missing.
Okay.
This has been a journey from 40 crores to 140 crores. And that impact of 100 crores has to be considered in practically every aspect of social and cultural life. That has made an
Okay.
impact in universities, other things also.
Okay.
So
Process versus
violence
fairness.
must not, hate must not go up in the same proportion. Hate must reduce.
That's also a credible point. Hate must also reduce. Like I've been pointing out, old gives
That's
way
a
to new. It's the
universal
one
statement.
inevitable that
Everybody
continues to
says
go
this,
on.
everyone
Professor
says
Sharma, let me
this.
come to you. There is the uniformity challenge because, there is this serious risk of uneven interpretation across campuses. There is a structured guideline, but there are broad definitions of implicit and structural discrimination. And 15 days for inquiry, 24 hours to initiate an action. What happens in complex cases now? You're somebody who's worked with the NEP 2020 as well. Throw some light on the structural, pros and cons of this.
What I believe is, and I said this regulation has come in a hush-hush manner because the Supreme Court gave a direction to the University Grants Commission and they have come up with it. Let me remind you of one thing. There is one composition of acuity committee and it is said 3 professors will be put on the committee. Let the UGC give a certificate that all public universities, government universities have at least 3 professors. You have not been able to create your universities. You don't have 3 professors in all universities. What are you talking of? Because you are not able to handle such situation, you are coming up with such regulations. And I'm very sure that this regulation has unfortunately put the government in the dock. The government should have been consulted. I've already mentioned that this is a report of people who are working with or who are caring for the mentally disabled, the well-being of such people. Academics must have been consulted, universities must have been consulted, students from universities must have been consulted. There may be isolated cases. I quite sympathize with my co-panelist here that there are posters like this. I have studied on campuses. I have never seen such posters. And trust your teachers. What are you doing? Restraining your institution.
All right. All right.
I had worked very closely with the suicide of the Bombay IIT boy. And what was the final finding? The boy had committed suicide because his closest friend told him something. It was not a general caste-based comment, and that boy was not in that mental state. So don't jump to conclusions.
Okay. Let's not jump to conclusions. I've completely run out of time here. Shalin, I'm going to come to you. Final 30 seconds to you, Shalin. Of course. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead with your.
Yeah, I don't think we can just pack caste trauma is mental illness, and that is very wrong. To call caste atrocities as mental illness is very, very wrong. Yes, there is a trauma of caste, there is an emotional burden, physical burden, social burden on me. And that's the reason I'm expecting a particular cell where I can go ahead, there'll be representatives from my own community where I can go ahead and file a complaint. This mechanism was not there before. See, as a woman, I have supported ICC, right? As a woman, I have supported, POSH. Now, as a Dalit, as a Christian, religion should be included there. As Mr. John said, there's been discrimination based on religion too. I've been called Kotawali and also rice bag. So end of the day, there is something that the universities can do better. The whole world is watching Indian education.
Let's hope that good sense prevails. Let's hope that good sense prevails.
Don't say no to equality. Don't say no to equity.
I've been saying this right from the start. Debate isn't about choosing sides. It's about getting the balance right. Many thanks for taking out the time to all of you, Professor Sharma, Professor Rajput, Mr. Dayal, Shalin Lawrence as well. Yes, discrimination on campuses is real and must be confronted, but justice cannot come at the cost of due process, and inclusion cannot thrive in an atmosphere of fear. I'm glad we could have this conversation here on In Your Interest. Our second segment coming right on the other side. Before that, a quick commercial breather.
With Skoda Supercare and growing network across 180 plus cities, you never drive alone.
Skoda.
कुछ भी खा नहीं पा रहा हूँ, बहुत अपसेट हूँ।
Take a date, not bites.
No added sugar, प्रिजर्वेटिव के बिना। डेट्स, बादाम, पिस्ता, काजू और शहद से तैयार किया गया लायन डेट्स नट बाइट्स।
Lion date, not bites.
घर है वही जहाँ सब संग हो, रिश्तों को रंग दो, दुनिया को रंग दो। बिरला ओपस पेंट्स।
इतनी दूर कैसे करेगी? ऑटो लेगी क्या?
नहीं अम्मा,
तो
सरप्राइज।
जिद्दी लड़की।
इसकी जिद ने दी इसे एक नई उड़ान, टाटा कैपिटल 2 व्हीलर लोन्स के साथ।
Many thanks for staying with In Your Interest. Our second segment is certainly a public interest issue, because what happens when privacy is promised, but then that trust is suddenly broken? For millions of us, the day begins and ends with the green icon on our phones. WhatsApp. It's not just an application. It is how India speaks. From family groups to newsroom updates, we trust it with our secrets because we are told one thing repeatedly, that our messages, and I'm sure you've read this, are end-to-end encrypted. We are told that only you and the receiver can read them. But tonight, that promise is under siege. A massive class action lawsuit has been filed against Meta in a federal court in San Francisco on the 24th of January this year. The plaintiffs, representing users from 5 different countries, have made a startling claim that WhatsApp's encryption is misleading and that the company has been lying to its 3.3 billion users worldwide. The lawsuit alleges that despite the claims of using the secure signal protocol, Meta effectively has a backdoor. The plaintiffs argue that Meta can access user messages internally, and this isn't just about old data. The allegation is that they can access messages in real time and even retrieve messages you thought you had deleted or gone off of. But Meta is not just facing legal pressure. The company is also dealing with a public relations crisis, amplified by some of the biggest names in technology. Elon Musk posted that WhatsApp is not secure, and even Signal is questionable, urging users to use XChat instead. Telegram CEO Payal posted that one would have to be brain dead to believe WhatsApp is secure. And this lawsuit also fits into a much larger conversation about privacy in the digital age. If the allegations are true, it means Meta chose to implement encryption in a way that preserves its own ability to read messages, even whilst telling and lying to its users that no one, including Meta themselves, can read them. And that would be a fundamental breach of trust. Meta has strongly denied the allegations, calling them categorically false, absurd, frivolous fiction, one spokesperson said. Now, WhatsApp is huge. It has over 3.3 billion active users in more than 180 countries, with more than 100 billion messages sent each day. And zero in on India. India is by far the largest market with around 854 million users, making it a critical part of Meta's strategy and market. The application has been downloaded 7.4 billion times globally and has grown massively since 2014. In the United States alone, take a look at these numbers. It recently crossed 100 million active users. Last year, WhatsApp generated about $1.78 billion in revenue. We're joined by esteemed panelists, cyber experts, and the big questions that we are asking tonight. If end-to-end encryption has a backdoor, is there any such thing as a truly private conversation on the internet anymore? And for users in India, the biggest market, should this lawsuit change how people think about sharing personal or sensitive information on WhatsApp? With me on the broadcast, Amit Dubey, cybersecurity and digital technology expert, Kanish Gaur, digital technology and an AI expert. Mr. Dubey, let's get the snowball rolling here. I'll ask you the most preemptive question. If this end-to-end encryption has a backdoor, is there any such thing as a truly private conversation on the internet? Back in the day, data was supposedly the war front, and now it seems like it's privacy.
These are very serious allegations put by plaintiff and for the having their representatives for different 4 countries. And I'm sure they would have enough reasons to put these allegations.
Right.
This is not the first time. If you remember in 2019 as well, there was malware Pegasus, which gets installed in your iPhone.
Yeah.
This call, which you receive on WhatsApp. So WhatsApp had some vulnerabilities which was exploited at that time as well. I'm sure there might be some reason, some vulnerability which was getting exploited with knowledge of WhatsApp or without knowledge of WhatsApp. I don't know, because this sometimes happens through their consensus as well to give a backdoor to specific situations. But results will come out after the investigation only. But these are very, very serious allegations, and I'm sure it is impacting each one of us. Because WhatsApp claimed that they encrypt any such information through AES 256-bit encryption. And just for your information, AES 256-bit encryption is a very high-end encryption.
Okay.
If you try to decrypt that data through a supercomputer, it may take billions of years. So it's not simple encryption. It's a very secure information way of securing the information. But then they can ensure this encryption only during transit. They cannot ensure it at the endpoints.
Okay.
Before or after receiving the information.
Excuse me, my apologies. Just to summarize this for the layman out there, once the message is received by the receiver, it can then be manipulated. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it is possible.
Not during the transfer, but once it's finally there. So what really happens? Do I need to make some sort of changes in my iPhone settings, in my WhatsApp settings? What happens instantly?
It's like you have a screen recording app in your phone. There are some inbuilt apps also, even in iPhone, where you can record the WhatsApp calls. You can record the communication chats as well. So this is one of the ways through which you can make it more vulnerable when it is questioning the leak of your information. But then these allegations are not for the endpoints. These allegations are for the WhatsApp itself, that they are reading these messages. They are able to, they are storing this message somewhere. And this is, I think, something different, which is beyond my...
No, you're absolutely right. Kanish, what's the practical takeaway here? For users in India, the biggest market, should this lawsuit change how people now think about sharing personal information? Most of the Indians use WhatsApps right when they wake up, banking alerts, legal documents, business deals, needless to say, family communication as well. I don't know if somebody's plotting a murder on WhatsApp or not, but I mean, what should happen next now?
We need to understand who are these people who have filed these lawsuits. They are the same set of people who were representing NSO Group. Now, NSO Group had created a backdoor to basically change the way WhatsApp would do, and this vulnerability allowed NSO Group to read into people's devices and phones. NSO Group lost the lawsuit to WhatsApp and Meta, and they were penalized. Now, the same set of people are coming and making these claims. We need to understand that AES 256 is not easy to decrypt, and WhatsApp literally uses the same protocol as Signal does, which is considered the gold standard on encryption, the Diffie-Hellman algorithm. Now, while we understand the messages are encrypted in transfer, but for additional security, what you can do is you can have your backups also encrypted. So I would not go by these tall claims. I would rather wait for this investigation to take place. And I will say that the other competitors, whether it is the founder of Telegram, he will make hay, or whether it is Elon Musk, because all of them have their own vested interests.
I understand, and they have their own commercial interests. But Kanishk, even if messages and the messages content is encrypted, can metadata reveal who one talks to, when they talk to, how often do they talk to? Because that kind of data is going to be enough to put them into categories and commercially and politically manipulate them.
So WhatsApp has multiple versions. If you are using WhatsApp as a user, the communication is end-to-end encrypted. If you use WhatsApp for business, then the backup that you're taking, there is certain level of meta searches which is enabled for service providers, for them to basically have keyword analysis of metadata for business purpose. Now that is commercial for service providers. If you look at plaintiff meta end-to-end, it's completely encrypted. What you could additionally do to secure your devices is have the backup also encrypted. And the same controls and same protocol are used as Signal. So if you are saying WhatsApp is not end-to-end encrypted, then Signal is also not end-to-end encrypted, because both of them use the same Signal protocol and both of them use the same key exchange, which is X3DH and double racket protocol, right? And the AES.
I'll ask you in simple terms. Are you worried? And I'm going to come to Mr. Dubey as well, Kanish, but are you worried with these headlines that are making way? Of course, they could be tall claims by the plaintiffs as well. They could have their own ulterior motives, but are you worried? Are you going to suddenly change? If you have a tip and technique, please share.
So I've done some background research on this, and I found that this is the same set of lawyers who were representing NSO group, and they are now working with these plaintiffs. So it seems more like a conspiracy rather than facts. So I would rather wait for this investigation to get over and facts to come out before worrying, right? And I do use other platforms like Signal and Telegram. So the choice is always up to the user. If the user feels he wants to share something more secretive, he can always use a Telegram, right? But that does not take away the sufficiency WhatsApp is providing with respect to the user experience and other functionalities. So the user has his choice. All these platforms are for free of use. Neither WhatsApp, neither Signal or Telegram are charging you anything, or neither is X. So you can choose which platform you want to use. So the choice is up to the end user. But at this point of time, I don't want to jump to the conclusion.
Choices like use it for the bad or use it for the worse. Those are the choices that one has to deal with right now. I agree with you. It is sub judice. It is in the court, and we'll have to wait and find out as to what really happens. Completely running out of time here, Mr. Dubey. Coming to you for one final question. Meta calls the lawsuit fiction, frivolous fiction, one spokesperson said, but the whistleblowers and former executives, one security head also, Mr. Beg, he also, his statements have also kept on surfacing. From an industry standpoint, how damaging is this repeated trust erosion for a platform that is used by 3.3 billion people, about 850 million Indians as well? Do you see a shift suddenly? I mean, we love trends that keep on changing. After WhatsApp, what do you think it's going to be next?
It happens every time. When there were questions raised in 2019 as well, people moved to Telegram and Signals, and they were doubting on WhatsApp because of Pegasus. But nobody searched on Google that who is the founder of Signal. The guy is same, the Brian Acton, who has created Signal as well. So when you are moving and you are having some reason to trust some other app, I think that's not also enough. So this is something which is a root cause which will be there with each and everyone. If there is any possibility to data breach for WhatsApp, it will be true for Signal and Telegram as well. So for me, if I'm not trusting, I'm not trusting anyone. If I'm trusting, then there should be significant reasons for that. So people are using many other apps. If you see, there are applications like Discord, Prima, and many other apps. They are using it because of more trust having on those apps through some reasons. But let me give you one more example. That there was an app which was very popular that is called NMApp. And NMApp was an anonymous communication app. People were trusting it a lot. All criminals were using it. And then 2 years back, FBI raided many countries and confiscated more than $16 billion of assets because the NMF was created by FBI.
All right, then.
They created this and then they promoted it on dark web through a person. So there are many such interesting reasons, ways through which we have enough reasons to doubt.
Yeah, the common man has to now educate themselves all over again. It's not that simple. I used to tell my grandparents that, it's so simple. Start using WhatsApp, and now they're sharing passwords and OTPs on WhatsApp. And things can go awry in a split second. Many thanks, gentlemen, for taking out the time. If privacy is promised, but that trust is broken, the question isn't just about WhatsApp. India runs on WhatsApp, families, businesses, livelihoods. If even a fraction of these claims that we're speaking about are true, then this isn't a tech debate, it's a public interest issue. Meta says the claims are fictitious, whistleblowers say otherwise, courts will decide the truth, but the users deserve clarity, not confusion. And this is not tech jargon, it's about who sees your messages before you even do that, and who controls your digital life. And tonight, I think that question remains unanswered. Many thanks for watching. In your interest, top developments right on the other side. Won't go anywhere.
रश्मि, हाँ? ये मैडम बड़े शहर से छोटे शहर बसने जा रही है, बताओ।
अंकल
इंडिया के छोटे छोटे शहरों में ही तो है बड़े बड़े अखाड़े।
नए नए दावपेच सीखेगी और फ्यूचर में मेडल जीतेगी। और बेटा इनका फ्यूचर?
बड़े पापा, SBI लाइफ से इनका फ्यूचर सिक्योर है।
तभी तो इसकी जीत के इरादा पक्का है। करो पूरे अपने इरादे,
अपनों से किए सभी वादे।
SBI लाइफ अपने लिए,
अपनों के लिए।
Open it up, what do you see? A champion inside you and me. Run, sing, build, dream so high. Touch the stars, reach the sky. At Orchid School we all believe every child's born to achieve.
एक और फैमिली ने रखा कदम अपने नए घर में, टाटा कैपिटल होम लोन्स के साथ।
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9, English news as it should be.
We have Siddaramaiah, who's been captured on camera as losing his cool while Congress members were protesting in Bengaluru. Youth Congress workers raised slogans in support of Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar while he was just about to address a gathering there. The look that Siddaramaiah gave, quite a dead stare, and then even almost scolded the Youth Congress members to keep quiet and sit down. This incident took place during a Congress-led protest against the centre's decision to replace the Manrega Act with the VBG Ramji. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar, Congress General Secretary Randeep Singh Surjewala, Ministers, MPs and MLAs were all present on the dais there when sloganeering began. Siddaramaiah rose to speak. A section of the Youth Congress workers started chanting DK, DK with slogans growing only louder as he approached the podium, and clearly very miffed. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah literally shouted at those who were raising DK slogans, asking them to maintain silence.
ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಯೂತ್ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನವರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಇರಿ. ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಇಷ್ಟ ತಂಗಿದಿರಲ್ಲ ಹಂಗಿರಿ. ನೀವು ಯಾರು ಕೂಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರ ನಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಇರಿ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸೈಲೆಂಟಾಗಿ ಕೇಳಿ. ಈಗ ಸೈಲೆಂಟಾಗಿ ಕೇಳಿ. ಸೈಲೆಂಟಾಗಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು.
There you have it. You remember, this comes right in the backdrop of all the power tussle that's happening between Siddaramaiah and D.K. Shivkumar. While D.K. wants to take over the CM's chair, the High Command isn't giving him a green signal. And Siddaramaiah shows no signs to move out. He wants to complete his full term, and DK, of course, now trying to gain support from within the party, and the AICC, the Youth Congress, particularly the state Youth Congress members who are all largely DK fan base, they're chanting his slogans when Sidramaya took over the stage wanting to speak. So clearly showing a power tussle there that just refuses to end in Karnataka. Now, India Energy Week, IEW 2026, has commenced in Goa with a strong call for cooperation, resilience and inclusive growth, as the Union Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, Hardeep Singh Puri, has outlined India's expanding role in the global energy landscape. The minister described IEW as a rapidly maturing global platform that brings together policy, industry, innovation and leadership. India showcases its growth story from January 27th to 30th. As global energy ministers from 17 countries gather in Goa to take part in this India Energy Week 2026. The flagship engagement underscores India's commitment to fostering strategic partnerships and investment-led growth in the energy sector. Prime Minister Modi inaugurated the summit via video link. The India Energy Week 2026 conclave. India will show the world how it experienced its energy transition right on the ground. Several major agreements and memorandum of understanding are proposed to be signed during this event. Union Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said series of key side events and roundtables will also be organized alongside that main conference. Hardeep Singh Puri says the platform will focus on strengthening energy security, catalyzing investment and advancing practical decarbonization pathways. IEW 2026 will be structured around 10 strategic themes reflecting global priorities and India's evolving leadership role. 5 energy talks will be held as one-on-one conversations with senior global energy leaders, focus entirely on technology, markets and sustainability. Energy talks will highlight technology-led transformation and sustainability. The event will also witness the 9th Prime Minister's Roundtable, where PM Modi will interact with global CEOs, Indian public sector undertakings and private sector leaders, including senior executives from leading global energy and technology companies. It's expected to be the largest edition so far, with 75,000 and above delegates from more than 600 exhibitors, including 180 international exhibitors, over 500 global speakers and 120